Thanks, Chanley, and thank you, Lucas. Christopher Nixon Cox has had wide experience in international affairs. He is the grandson of President Richard M. Nixon. Joins us now on the telephone. Chris, this is, you have to say, an historic night. The United States government, the Trump administration, taking bold, decisive action, shocking and surprising by capturing Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia. They obviously are now, or probably, in handcuffs because he has been for 5 years under indictment for running a massive billion-dollar narco-terrorist organization. Your thoughts at this stunning move by President Trump?
Well, this is just, as you said, absolutely stunning. What a brilliant move by President Trump to decapitate the Venezuelan regime. What a brilliant operation that was run by our military, led by Secretary Hegseth. All credit to President Trump and our brilliant soldiers for doing this operation so efficiently, so well thought out. This is just an extraordinary night. And now I would say that after the success of this military operation, the real work begins, because Venezuela cannot become a Somalia in the tropics, so to speak. This is when the real work will begin to stabilize the country, to rebuild the businesses of the country, to rebuild the civilian infrastructure. That's going to be a very important next step. And then also there will be ramifications. The Venezuelan regime was propping up the leftist regime in Colombia. There's an election coming up in Colombia in the spring. That's going to be a very important election. There are ramifications in Tehran. I'm sure they're trembling in Tehran right now after watching what President Trump did in Venezuela. And there are ramifications in Russia and in Beijing as well. So this operation will live for a long time over the months and years to come. And this is a signature moment for the Trump administration.
Absolutely is. And one would think some of those plans are in place for Venezuelans' future. But let me focus on Maduro, who right now the president says is in U.S. custody with his wife flown out of the country. So that you've got to think that there was this special operation, SEAL Team 6 type operation on the ground that went in, overpowered and or perhaps killed Maduro's bodyguards. He may be surrendered, was captured, is now in handcuffs, probably flown to the USS Gerald Ford, and at some point in the next few days may be arraigned in either New York, Washington, or Miami, because the president said that the operation was done in conjunction with the U.S. law enforcement. So in some ways, it's a U.S. law enforcement operation. Your thoughts, Chris, on the fact that we can try and we can bring to justice the enemies of America, the people who are accused of flooding our country and killing our citizens with fentanyl and drugs, and take such a daring, swift move overnight to bring someone like Nicolas Maduro, who we see on the screen, to justice?
Well, it shows that you can't hide from the United States. Anywhere in the world, we can get you. You never know when it could happen, but it will happen, and we will get the enemies of our country. Anyone who threatens the United States, this president will come and get. And I think that is a powerful message across the world. And frankly, this reminds me very much of the Noriega operation back in, I guess it was 1989 or the early 90s.
Yeah.
This is just brilliance from our military. What a strong show of force. What a great move from this president. And just what a shocking turn of events. And let me point this out. It was just a few hours ago that the Chinese special envoy for Venezuela was meeting with Maduro. They had no idea what was coming. And so, that this operation could be carried out in secrecy with our great soldiers in Delta Force or SEAL Team 6 or whoever did it, it is a great accomplishment for our military and for this president.
Absolutely. Yet another reason to support and thank our military men and women who are in harm's way, and some were definitely tonight. Let me read you, back in 2020, the original indictment took on Maduro and some top Venezuelan leaders, saying he's not just president of a country, but head of a cartel, the cartel of the Suns. Maduro has denied that. But at the time, Attorney General William Barr said this: as alleged, Maduro and the other defendants expressly intended to flood the United States with cocaine in order to undermine the health and well-being of our nation. Maduro very deliberately deployed cocaine as a weapon. While Maduro and other cartel members held lofty titles in Venezuela's political and military leadership, the conduct described in the indictment wasn't statecraft or service to the Venezuelan people. It was corrupt Venezuelan institutions to line their pockets with drug money. According to the indictment, Nicolas Maduro is a massive, huge billion-dollar drug boss. And President Trump has taken this astounding action to get him.
Well, this is just, again, it is Venezuela under the Maduro and Chavez regime was a criminal enterprise masquerading as a government. And we have to call a spade a spade. That's what this was. And Maduro was flooding our country with drugs. He was killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens over the last few years. But even worse than that, he was trying to flood our country with criminals, with the worst of his society across our southern border to destabilize our country. And the immigration that happened under the Biden administration, where you had gang members, cartel members flooding into our country. I saw it in New York City, where our hotels, parts of our city were occupied. This was a move that had to be done to say enough was enough. And then when you also factor in that Hezbollah and Iran, that Russia, they all had inroads, the Cubans all had inroads into Venezuela. They used Venezuela as a base to do nefarious things to the United States. This move by President Trump has turned everything on its head. It's a great day for our country.
Yes, it's amazing how, and you mentioned Hezbollah and, of course, Iran and China and Russia, but let me zero in on Hezbollah and the enemies of our country who have had a foothold in Venezuela, including Iran and Russia, thanks to Nicolas Maduro. What does this do geopolitically in terms of their ability to strike at us and or use Venezuela as a launching pad, as they have over the past number of years, now that Maduro is apparently gone?
Well, we cut the head of the snake off. And that means that now Hezbollah will not have sanctuary in Venezuela anymore. You have to believe that the people of Venezuela know that their country in the last generation has gone from being the most prosperous country in Latin America to being one of the poorest. And so I would think the people of Venezuela will be very happy to take control of their destiny and to kick out Hezbollah, to kick out Russia, to kick out the enemies of the United States, because at the end of the day, the United States is a much better ally, can do much more for the people of Venezuela. So I think this is going to be a turning point geopolitically. And I think Hezbollah is going to have to find a new neighborhood to terrorize now, because there's a new sheriff in town, and it's President Trump. So this is going to be a big victory, a big blow against Hezbollah. But also don't discount what this says to Russia. This says to Russia that President Trump is serious, that Russia can't meddle in our hemisphere. And it also sends a message to Russia that they better be serious about peace in Ukraine, because President Trump has dealt with Venezuela, and the next one he's going to deal with is Ukraine.
I mean, look, Putin lies. Putin does not want peace. Putin wants Ukraine. Can this be used in a way as leverage to maybe change Putin's behavior? Is that even possible?
Absolutely, because I take the example of my grandfather at the height of the Cold War in the 1970s. My grandfather realized that the way to bring peace to Vietnam was not through negotiation, endless negotiation, with draft after draft of agreements that the Russians and the North Vietnamese were never going to agree to. And in 1972, my grandfather mined and bombed Haiphong Harbor. Every expert in the world said, if you do that, you'll start World War III. The Soviets said, if you do that, you'll start World War III. However, within weeks of mining and bombing Haiphong Harbor, where was my grandfather? In Russia signing the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. What happened 6 months later? We had the Paris Peace Accords in January 1973, and our POWs came home. The Russians only understand strength. This move with Maduro will only strengthen President Trump's hand as he negotiates peace in Ukraine.
I want to point out, as the screen says, you're listening to Christopher Cox, who is President Richard M. Nixon's grandson and who has been involved in political affairs himself. His father, chairman of the Republican Party in New York. And you point out that you and your mom, Tricia Nixon Cox, went down to the White House recently and met with President Trump. Do you have a sense, mentioning what you just did, that President Trump has an understanding of history and maybe takes a page in international affairs from your grandfather's playbook in taking this type of action?
Absolutely. President Trump is a very studious, studies history very closely. He understands the importance of history, and he understands the importance of peace through strength. And I think that, he draws on threads from my grandfather, draws on threads from other presidents that he admires, and he is putting into practice this principle of peace through strength. It is really the Trump doctrine, and it is something that is so simple, which is our enemies only understand strength. They only understand the rule of the jungle. Maduro was a thug. We all know that. He worked with cartels. He worked with the worst of this world. And President Trump was willing to stand up and show strength to him. And he understands that this will play with all our adversaries, with all our competitors around the world. Now everyone who opposes the United States, who opposes peace, will have to think twice. And it's all because of President Trump's strength.
Maduro was a thug. So says Christopher Nixon Cox, President Richard Nixon's grandson. Maduro, now perhaps on the USS Gerald Ford, put in handcuffs with his wife, captured by the Trump administration to face justice in a federal courtroom in either Washington, New York, or Miami sometime in the coming weeks, under indictment for 5 years for running a $1 billion alleged drug narco-terrorist organization. Christopher Cox, Chris, thank you. Thank you for your service to the nation. And thank you for staying up with us tonight here on the Fox News Channel.
Always great to be on with you, Eric. Anytime.
Absolutely, Chris.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.